I've been to prison, and I lost 2 or 3 years of my kid's life, and I'm not gonna give them my freedom no more. So be careful of the decisions that you make today, because it might affect the atmosphere tomorrow. That's what the conversation is being in our shop.
Welcome back to another Barbers Against Bullets podcast, where we have real, right, and relevant conversation with barbers trying to make a difference in our communities. Welcome again. We have Mr. Pooh here.
Yes, sir.
We here also at Pooh's Barbershop. So we just ready to have some conversations. So first question, Pooh, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, and yourself?
I'm doing well. Good to see you, man. It's always good to see you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So can you kind of expound what have Barbers Against Bullets been up to lately?
Well, really lately we just been trying to get together as barbers and get barbers to participate and to try to get them to come in so we could come up with ideas and solutions to try to help our community. Right now, we don't have a consistent base going on. So until we can get a consistent base with the barbers, it's hard to come up with ideas. It's kind of hard to do things. But we're trying to get a calendar together for the 2024 on some ideas and some stuff that we can do to try to reach our kids.
Okay. So, like, kind of expound on some of those ideas that you even came up with. I know you talked in the last meeting about some stuff that we're trying to do. I know you had a lady that worked in the school system. Just kind of talk about some of those ideas that you see coming forth in 2024.
Well, 2024, I know the assistant superintendent of Anniston High School, and what we're trying to do is, first of all, we want to come up with a plan on how or what we can say to the kids once we're in the school system. We don't want to go to the school system and we don't have an idea. We don't really know what to say or what to do or what type of event we want to do. So the thing is really just, first of all, we know that in order to reach the 16, 17, 18-year-old kids or 15, we got to get into the school system, because we can't get them to come out in the community because I guess because they're beefing. But we realize that in the school system, they have to go to school. They go to school together. They can get along in school. Mm-hmm. But when they get into the community, they can't get along. So our thing is, if we can get in there and really go in there with a really good idea and really come up with an event that can show them the effects on what is going on when our kids are getting killed. The effect that it causes on different families, different communities, and different friends. So our idea is to get in there and show them and make them aware of the consequences, because for some reason it seems like the kids are forgetting about the consequences. You know what I'm saying? Only thing they worried about is if somebody get at me, I got to get out of them. But they're not realizing the consequences that it may affect afterwards. The penalty that they have to pay. You know what I'm saying? And we feel like our kids are losing focus on that. And once something happens, they're like, oh, well, I just had to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But now we lost a life, and we lost a guy to the prison system. We don't know how long. So the thing is to get in the school system and make them aware of the consequences that may happen, maybe that slow down this killing. Let them see a visual of what's going on. That was the purpose of the burying gun violence. It's to give them a visual. But I feel like if we can get some of the parents that have lost one, or we can get some of the people that have lost a friend, because I lost a lot of friends growing up due to gun violence. And it's hard to grow up with people every day. Now I'm turning 53 next year. Those people not here due to gun violence. You know what I'm saying? So our thing is, if we get in that school system, we really got to give a message.
Yeah. And that message will kind of strike that conversation. And what I learned about conversation, it builds a connection. So kind of talk about how talk about how conversations has changed in your barbershop as you've been dealing with Barbers Against Bullets. And, we try to change the atmosphere of, you know, what we talk about, how we talk about it. You know, in barbershops, man, we love some football.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
we also hear about what's going on in the community.
Right.
So kind of talk about how some of the conversations has changed in your barbershop.
Well, in my barbershop, even it's, you know, the conversation has changed. It even changed with my barbers, because all of my barbers, we grew up around this atmosphere. It even gave them the notion to be like, well, you know, when certain kids are in here, we're going to change the conversation. We're not going to talk about football and fuss and let them see us argue all the time when they're in here. And they even challenged the kids to get a better education, to think positive, and let them know that the things that you do today might affect the things that happen tomorrow. So my barbers are telling these kids that, and they telling them, hey, I've been in your shoes before. I've been to prison. And I lost 2 or 3 years of my kid's life, and I'm not going to give them my freedom no more. So be careful of the decisions that you make today, because it might affect the atmosphere tomorrow. And so that's what the conversation is being in our shop since when the younger kids come in. Now, when the grown folks in here, we might talk about football. We might talk about Alabama, but we realize that's not important. We don't want our kids to see us argue all day about stuff like that.
Man, that's good. And one last question. Can you kind of share a positive impact that you have seen in those clients that may hear y'all talk about getting that education, or even sharing a story about, you know, you losing someone to gun violence? Have you ever seen, like, in your years of cutting, like, a positive impact in a client that you was dealing with when you gave them these stories and you kept it real with them and you talked about the consequences?
Yes, I have. I've seen a lot of different types of things. Like, for instance, like we may talk about church sometime, and kids find out that I play organ at a church and I sing in the choir, and they be looking at me kind of strange. But I have seen 1 or 2 of those kids pop up in my church before. Wow. And they be looking like, yo, I'm gonna see if he really doing what he say he do.
Yeah.
And then when they pop up and see me, they be like, man, I never knew. You know, because I don't broadcast it a lot. Also, my guy EB, which is a barber, one of my best barbers, he also been to prison due to the dope game, not gun violence though. But you know how it is when you trying to earn a living back in those days. And then they'll go to him and ask him, hey man, I did this, man. What you think they gonna do? He's straight law book. Bruh, don't do this. Don't do that. If you do, they gonna lock you up, bro.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, man, you gonna give them your freedom.
Yeah.
And you got kids out here. I mean, he talked to them rough. He give it to them rough.
Yeah.
And look, they respect this guy because simple fact, he been there, he done that, and he been honest with them. And a lot of times, like he even helped people get their pardon so they can get themselves together. Because he went and got his pardon. So whenever they want to know, he's spreading the education. Then I got one barber, I call him Shante. They know him as Shante. Man, it ain't nothing that he won't coach. Basketball, football, you know what I'm saying? Baseball. And he actually talked to these kids one-on-one, and he'll tell them it's about discipline first off. Because he'll even text the parents, be like, listen, I understand you their parent, but in this sport, I have to give it to them rough.
Yeah.
I got to teach them discipline in order to get them in line with what I'm trying to teach them. And if you're afraid, I might say some harsh words. If you don't like it, then, you know, you might need to get your kids on another team, because we're going to have discipline. We're not going to have no arguing. And with the kids that he's teaching, sometimes that's the first step some of them get to discipline outside of the home. And it helps them to realize, okay, there's certain things I can't do if I want to play basketball.
That's good. That's good. And what I know is that discipline separates the good from the great. And like you said, a lot of them don't get it at home. So some places, it might be that sport. It might be in the barbershop where they introduced to that discipline. So, man, that discipline is key, definitely. And thank you.
And another thing, too, it's like I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not like some of the kids don't get discipline at home, but sometimes they have to hear it outside the home, because, like, I know parents tell their kids all the time, don't do this, don't do that, and don't do this. And then they be like, yeah, whatever. But then when they hear it outside the home, then they can hear their parents and be like, okay, well, maybe mama was right. Maybe daddy was right. And maybe I do, because, everywhere I go, they talking this same stuff. Because that's what happened in my generation.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Vu, man. It was always great to see you, man.
Yes, sir. Great to see you, too.
And we appreciate your consistency.
Yes, sir.
Because you've been locked in since July. So,
yes, sir.
Again, thank you. And, yeah.